Hey guys, being born a crow kinda sucks. You're loud, you're hungry, you're born into chaos with siblings that might push you out of the nest before you even open your eyes. And from the moment you can stand, the world is full of teeth, noise, and moving shadows, most of them trying to kill you. Your life will be spent scavenging from humans who fear you, mocking predators who chase you, and remembering every face that ever wronged you. But don't worry, you're not here to fight for scraps. You're here to rest. So, before we begin, take a moment to like the video, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's drifting off all around the world. Now dim the lights, let your breath slow down. Maybe crack open the window just a bit, and listen to the wind like it's a wing passing overhead. And let's ease into tonight's quiet, feathered journey together. Chapter 1. You hatch into hunger. You come into the world already screaming, not for air, but for food. It's dark, hot, cramped. Your beak is soft, barely strong enough to crack the thin inner shell around your body. But still you push, you dig, you twist. You scrape upward through dust and feathers and broken light until suddenly everything collapses. Now the light is sharp, the air is dry, and the noise relentless. You're one of 5, maybe 6. It doesn't matter. You don't know their names. They don't know yours. All you know is that their bodies are just like yours. Loud, wet, shaking, barely feathered. And all of you are hungry. Your skin is pink and translucent. The wind touches it like cold teeth. You can't hold up your head yet. Can't stand. Your eyes haven't opened. But already, your beak opens wide, pure instinct. It opens and opens, waiting for something warm to fall into it. A bug, a worm, a half-digested piece of meat. Anything. Your parents come and go in blur's massive black shadows, with familiar voices. They land on the edge of the nest like thunder. Drop something soft and wet into one of your mouths, and then vanish again into the noise. You don't know where they go, only that when they return, one of you gets fed. And the rest? Wait. The nest is wedged into the arms of a high tree, tucked into the fork of 2 thick limbs. It's made of wire, sticks, plastic scraps, and bark. Some of it's stolen, some of it scavenged, but it holds. Beneath you, the wind shifts. A gust tilts the nest just enough to remind you how high you are and how fragile this pile of trash and branches really is. You don't know what's down there, but your body already knows its death. One of your siblings rolls against you, gasping, twisting, reaching up with its gaping mouth. It's not trying to hurt you, not yet, but every second it grows stronger. And every piece of food it swallows means one less for you. The light above the nest is changing. You don't know what a sun is, but you feel it growing dimmer. The wind grows cooler. Night is coming. Hunger doesn't leave with the light. It grows sharper. You sleep in small shivers, waking every few seconds to the sound of wings, the sound of beaks clacking, the sound of siblings breathing too loudly. You dream of warmth. Not food, just something to hold you still. The nest doesn't rock, and that means your parents didn't make it back. Not yet, maybe not tonight, maybe something happened. But you don't know that. You just know the dark is long, and your stomach is louder than your heartbeat. Sleep doesn't last. It's broken into fragments. Sometimes you rest. Sometimes your body forgets to sleep at all. Eventually, light returns, and with it wings. Your beak opens before your eyes do. You don't know if you're going to be fed this time, but you stretch upward anyway, because in this life, if you don't open your beak, you disappear. Chapter 2. Nest Life and Sibling Warfare. You don't know how long you've been alive, but already the nest feels crowded. Your feathers are just beginning to come in soft black filaments, like burnt grass poking through pink skin. They itch, they twitch, and still your beak opens wide. You don't beg with sound, not yet. You beg with movement, Your head bobs, your neck cranes. Your mouth opens like a signal, flare red, gaping, desperate. Sometimes food lands in your throat. Sometimes it lands in someone else's. There is no fairness here, only speed. One of your siblings is louder than the rest, larger, sharper. They push you to the side when the parent lands. Their body is warmer, heavier, and when they lean into you, you can't move. You try. You really do. But your legs aren't strong enough yet. Your wings are still soft and useless. So you curl against the edge of the nest and wait. Your body knows what happens to the slow ones. There's no language for it. But already, something in you has memorized the rule. Eat or fade. Sometimes, your parents don't return for hours. When that happens, the nest turns into a slow war. Your siblings peck at your wings. One clamps its tiny beak around your leg and twists not hard enough to kill, but just enough to make you shrink away from the center. Every inch lost is an inch closer to the edge. And the edge? It's just wind. When the sun is high, your father brings back something dry and stringy. A strip of lizard, maybe a snake. It's not food to you, not yet, but he drops it into a beak anyway. And the one who eats it grows. Growth is power in the nest. Power means position, and position means survival. You learn to stretch higher, to open your mouth wider, to keep one wing between you and the larger siblings, not as defense, but as a wedge. Even now, before your eyes are fully open, you are learning tactics. The nest shifts with the wind again. Far below, you can hear something barking. A dog. You don't know what a dog is, but you already know it's something that eats. A shadow passes overhead, larger than your parents. It drifts slowly, then circles. Your siblings freeze. So do you. You feel your breath stop. Feel your heart shrink to the center of your chest. The shadow drifts again, then vanishes. Your father lands a minute later. He doesn't speak. He never does. He drops something into a beak and lifts away again. The sun drops low. The wind changes. Your nestmate, the smallest one, doesn't move anymore. Its body stays curled. Its mouth doesn't open. No one mourns. Not even the parents. By morning, it's gone. Maybe taken, maybe pushed. The nest is quieter now, less crowded, easier to breathe. You don't remember their face, only the sound they made when they were hungry. And in this life, that's not enough. Chapter 3. First wind, first fall. The wind feels different now. It's no longer just noise. It has weight. It moves your feathers when you breathe. It shifts the shape of the sky above you, and it smells like distance. You're still in the nest, but something in your body is leaning outward. Your claws grip the edge without thinking. Your beak lifts into the air, and you watch. Everything is in motion now. The trees, the light, the distant blur of wings. Even the insects flicker through the air like sparks, and for the first time, you feel your place inside it, small, black, exposed. You shift your feet, one at a time, wobbling, testing. Your balance is new, like standing on breath. You flap once, just once. It doesn't lift you, but it catches the air enough to make your chest lift, a fraction. Then the wind hits harder, a sudden gust. It rocks the nest, and your foot slips. Just one toe. Just one moment. But the edge is closer than you realized. The ground is too far down. You flap again, this time in panic. Not for flight, but for control. And it works. You stay upright. Barely. Your siblings aren't watching. They're grooming, preening. One is pulling at a strip of bark in the nest floor. But you're staring at the space just beyond your feet. The space where nest becomes nothing. The fall is quiet. You don't know it yet, but it's already coming. Later that afternoon, the sun shifts behind the trees. The wind returns, soft but steady. You step toward the edge again, not with courage, but with curiosity. Your father is nearby, calling. His car is short, sharp. He's in the lower branches, waiting. You lift your wings, flap once, twice. Then, you jump, the world drops out from under you. There's no control, no flight, only air. Only the blur of green and brown flashing past your eyes. Your wings catch a current, but you don't know how to use them yet. They slow you. A little, but not enough. You hit the ground with more force than expected. Not hard enough to break, but hard enough to freeze. You don't move. For 3 breaths. 4. Then, slowly, you blink. You're in the underbrush now. Leaves, dirt, sticks, shadows. Everything smells like earth. Everything sounds like predators. You're alive, but only just. Your feet work. Your wings don't. Not yet. You won't fly tonight. Maybe not tomorrow. Until then, you crawl. And down here, on the ground, nothing forgets how easy you are to kill. Chapter 4. The ground teaches you fear. You don't belong here. Not on the ground. Not like this. The grass around you towers overhead like trees. The wind moves differently down here. Slow, circular, muffled. Each breath carries the scent of rot, soil, fur, and old food. You don't walk. You creep. Your claws weren't made for this uneven floor. They were meant to curl around bark, not dig into mud and broken leaves. Every movement you make is loud. You're not used to that up in the nest. Everything was sound. Down here, silence is survival. You tuck your wings tight, lower your head, and wait. You don't know what you're listening for, but your body does. There's movement, something brushing through the dry leaves nearby. Too heavy for an insect, too soft for the wind. Your breath goes still, so do your eyes. It passes. You don't see it, but you know it knew you were there. Your feathers puff slightly. Instinct. It makes you look bigger. Not big enough to matter, but maybe just big enough to be confusing. You move again. Slowly. Carefully. There's food nearby. You can smell it. Bread crust. A smear of something sweet. Maybe dropped by a child. Maybe fallen from a trash bin. It doesn't matter. You step forward. One leg, then the next. A voice shouts in the distance. You freeze. Then, the rumble starts. Low, mechanical, rolling, wheels. The thing appears suddenly giant, fast, metal, screaming. You leap backward. Instinct again. It passes within inches of your head. The air it pushes is hot, greasy. You drop low, body flat to the ground. Your heart hammers. Your lungs forget their rhythm. You wait again, and again. The world moves on. You don't know what a bike is, or a child, or a road, but you've just learned that motion lies. Some things that move slowly are dangerous. Some things that move quickly don't care about you at all. A shadow circles above. You've seen that shape before. Not your father. Something sharper. You dive under a bush. Tuck your body into the base of a tree root. Still. Invisible. You don't move for a long time. Later, maybe hours, maybe minutes, you crawl toward a wall. Brick. Warm. Dry. The base smells like bread. A crust lies under a pipe. Hard. Dusty. Safe. You eat it in silence. You don't enjoy it, but you eat. The sky begins to fade to grey, and with it, the noises change. Crickets. A dog barking. The air cools. You climb partway up the wall, not to escape, but to see. Above you, tree branches shift in silhouette. You remember their shape. You remember what safety used to feel like. You sleep half buried in mulch, head tucked, body stiff, and in the morning you will try again. Because the ground doesn't care about your feathers, only your timing. Chapter 5. Feathers that mean flight. You don't know when it happened, But your wings feel different now. The soft, ragged down that once clung to your skin has sharpened. Real feathers. Black, sleek, clean-edged. When the wind touches them, they hum. Not loud, not musical, but just enough to tell you this body might finally be ready. You test them each morning. Small flaps, pushes against the air. At first, nothing. Then, lift. Not flight, but lift. The wall you once crawled against. You can now hop to its top. Your claws grip rough brick. Your wings extend, just for balance. You watch the street below with different eyes. You're still flightless, mostly, but the sky is no longer out of reach. It's just delayed. Your parents still visit sometimes. They don't land. They hover, call, and wait. You've learned to respond. Short calls, sharp sounds. Communication is starting. Not as speech, but as pattern. Today, you climb a fence. Tomorrow, a low branch. Each surface teaches you balance. Each breeze teaches you resistance. Your tail now helps you steer. Your wings no longer flap wildly, they pulse. You don't know what flying will feel like, but your body does. And it's getting closer. One afternoon, you see a squirrel. It darts up a tree beside you, then leaps. Not flying, but not falling either. It lands, tail flicking, and disappears. You try something similar. A small jump, nothing dramatic. You flap hard, and land farther than expected. You feel it again. That hum through the wings. That soft shake in your chest. This is new. This is right. The next morning, you wake to rain. Light. Cold. You ruffle your feathers not to dry, but to warm. They trap heat now. Your body has learned insulation. No longer just exposed skin and wind. Feathers are armor. Feathers are language. Feathers are future. Your siblings are practicing too. You watch one leap from a railing. They flap wildly, rise then fall, but fall slower than before. The branches above are calling, not with sound, but with space. You hop to the fence again, then to a trash bin, then a branch, higher. Your wings open. You feel the balance shift, the weight redistribute. Not a leap, just a lift. And this time, you stay in the air for 3 seconds. 4. Not long, not far, but long enough to change everything. The sky is no longer distant. It's something you can touch. Tomorrow, you will go higher. Tomorrow, you will fall again. But today, you rose. And once that happens, your body never forgets. Chapter 6. Your first problem-solving test. It's not a trap. It's not a predator. It's just confusing. The food is right there. A shiny wrapper. Greasy. Bright red. You can smell the fries inside. Salt, oil, meat. But it's behind something. Clear, hard, box-like. You tilt your head. One eye, then the other. You step to the left, then the right. It doesn't change. You hop closer. Tap the surface with your beak. It echoes. The reasons: empty sound, cold sound. The smell doesn't lie. The food is inside, but your beak can't reach it. You wait, not because you're scared, but because you're thinking. Something larger walks past a human. They stop, open the lid, take the food, then close it again. You watch everything. The lid, the hand, the sound it made, the way the top hinged, the way the fingers pressed. The human leaves, so does the food. But the information stays. Later that day, another box, this one smaller, plastic, tipped over. Half a sandwich lies beside it. You don't eat yet. You study. You step slowly around the edge. Test the shape. Check the air for poison or smell of traps. There's none. You eat only after certainty arrives. This is the beginning of what sets you apart. You don't just search. You solve. By the end of the week, your world is full of puzzles. A shell too thick to crack with beak alone? You drop it from a height. It lands near a sidewalk crack, splits open. You eat, then remember the method. You pass a cluster of bins. You watch as another crow lifts the lid using only its foot and momentum. You practice the same motion. It takes days, but you get it. The reward? Old rice, cold chicken. Worth it. On another day, a problem with no solution. A window, food inside. No opening. No hinge. You tap the glass. It doesn't change. You leave. The memory stays. Not every puzzle is meant to be solved. Some are meant to be catalogued, saved, for later. And later, the world will look different. New paths will open. Humans will forget where they place things. But you won't. You already know what's possible, and what isn't. Yet. Because your eyes don't just see, they analyze. Your wings don't just move, they position. Your beak doesn't just open, it learns. And the more you learn, the longer you survive. Chapter 7. The humans you never forget. You don't know what a name is, but you remember faces. The one with the red hat, he threw a rock at you. No warning. No reason. Just the arc of his arm, the sound of stone cutting air, and the sharp pain in your wing as it clipped your feathers. You screamed once, limped into the bushes, waited hours before the ache dulled. And now, whenever you see that red hat, your body tenses, your feathers rise, your call sharpens. You remember, and you are not alone. Your siblings saw it too, and when they spot him, they scatter. A week later, your father sees him from a rooftop. He calls one specific sound short, urgent. Every crow in earshot looks, and just like that, the Red Hat Man has been added to the map. Not a physical map, a living one, stored in your brain, updated by experience. Another face, the woman with soft steps and stale bread. She feeds birds every morning from a park bench. Her hands tremble, her coat is always blue. She never speaks, but you know her shape, her rhythm, her routine. You never fear her. Sometimes you land nearby, never too close, but close enough to show her you remember. Crows don't forget kindness. We don't forget cruelty either. Every face is tagged, every action filed. You pass a playground one afternoon. Children scream and throw crusts of food. One child laughs loud, sharp, erratic. He runs toward you, chases, swings a stick. You fly, but you store the face. Later, you return, not to retaliate, not yet, but to watch. You perch quietly on a branch. No one sees you. You observe the faces, sort them, mark them, because in a city full of humans, only a few matter. The dangerous ones, the generous ones, the unpredictable. You don't forget, even after seasons change. Even after their clothes change, their faces stay burned into memory. The angles, the hair, the movement of the eyes. You share this knowledge with others, not with words, but with alarm calls, with flight patterns, with presence and absence. One day, the Red Hat Man appears again, this time with a bag. You don't know what's inside, but you don't care. You scream. 4 other crows scream with you. The sky above the park darkens with wings. He looks up, confused, then nervous. He walks faster. Good. You don't need to attack. You just need him to know he's been remembered. And for a crow, that is a kind of power. Chapter 8. The Urban Experiment. You live in a city now. It smells like metal, heat, trash, and fuel. The trees here grow through cracks in pavement. The water comes in straight lines, and nothing is quiet. But this place, this human world of wires and wheels and noise, is a crow's paradise. You don't need wilderness. You need opportunity, and the city gives you more than you ever imagined. You learn the timing of lights. Green means the cars move. Red means they stop. And in between, you drop nuts. You wait, watch, let the cars do the cracking. Then, when the moment's right, you fly down, grab what's left, and lift away. The drivers don't notice. They're too busy looking ahead. But you see everything. The city is full of food. Dropped, thrown, forgotten. Crusts in gutters. French fries under benches. Bones, berries, trash. Most animals wouldn't touch it. You thrive on it. You learn the sound of trash bins being wheeled to the curb. You memorize the scent of bakeries that throw away just before dusk. You know which schoolyards leave the best scraps after lunch. And you are not alone. Other crows work nearby. Some are family. Some are strangers. You don't fight them not unless it matters. There is more than enough. But not all of it is safe. You've seen a pigeon collapse after eating the wrong thing. Too shiny, too blue, too tempting. You wait longer now. Let the wind pass over it. See if it changes. Everything is a test. Everything teaches. The street is a classroom, and you are not the student. You are the scientist. You experiment. You adapt. Plastic wrappers. You learn how to open them. Cans with food inside. You learn to wedge them under concrete to hold them still, then pry. One morning, you find a slice of pizza still warm on a bus stop bench. You don't eat it. Not yet. You hop onto the bench beside it, tilt your head. Watch. There are no wires nearby. No movement in the grass. No traps. No glue. You take one bite, then fly away with it. Later, a child sees you, points, laughs. You drop the pizza on a nearby roof and return to eat it in peace. This is the city. Loud, hot, dangerous. But to you, it's something else. A machine, and you know how to operate it. Chapter 9. Sky isn't safe. The wind lifts your wings like it's offering you freedom. But freedom has a price. And above a certain height, everything becomes silent. That silence? It means something's watching. You feel it before you see it. A pressure. A pause in the rhythm of the air. You flap once, quick, sharp. Not to rise, but to shift direction. A shadow cuts across the concrete below. Not yours. Larger. Faster. Sharp-edged. Your wings pull tight to your sides. You drop just enough to skim under the lip of a rooftop. Your claws catch brick. Your chest heaves. You wait. The hawk passes overhead. Its scream splits the sky, but it doesn't turn back. You've lived through your first pursuit. That won't be the last. You've learned to fear shadows that don't wobble. You've learned that gliding shapes are silent, and that when the air feels wrong, you leave it. The sky used to feel endless. Now you know it has rules. Never fly alone in open space. Never flap when you can glide. Never stay still in the same air for too long. Pigeons don't know these rules. That's why they vanish. You see them in the morning. Then you don't. One scream, one burst of feathers, and nothing more. You learn to listen to their panic. When they scatter, you scatter, even if you don't know why. You trust the wave of fear. Because the hawk is faster than logic. Falcons are worse. They don't hunt with silence. They hunt with speed. By the time you hear them, it's already too late. Your best hope is unpredictability. Turning mid-air, folding one wing, diving between power lines. You don't win with strength. You survive with confusion. Even crows kill crows. In the wrong season, a stranger crow in the wrong neighborhood can become a target. Territory means food. Food means winter survival. So, when another crow crosses into your airspace, you scream, you dive, you chase. You don't do it out of hate. You do it because everything is limited, even air. And sometimes, The sky itself becomes your enemy. Storms, cold winds, sudden gusts that twist your wings and flip you into windows. You've seen birds slam into glass because they mistook reflection for sky. You've felt that trick once yourself. Now you fly lower, slower, with eyes scanning not just ahead, but above. The world opens when you take to the air, but it also opens you, and the higher you climb, the more visible you become. Chapter 10. You witness a death. It happens in a moment. A flutter, a scream, then silence. You see the shape fall, not fast, not graceful, just broken. It lands at the edge of a sidewalk, one wing twitching, one eye still open. Then, nothing. A crow, like you, maybe older, maybe not. You don't move at first, neither do the others. You're perched nearby, high in the tree, watching through the gaps in the leaves. Something in your chest tightens. Not fear, not sadness, just stillness. One by one, the others arrive. Not calling, not fighting, just landing, just watching. No one eats, no one speaks. You all gather like smoke, silent, drifting in one by one. Some perch above, some land on wires. One walks slowly toward the body. No one touches it. You stay for minutes, sometimes hours. No signal tells you when to leave. But when the time comes, you know, this isn't a funeral. It's something else. A lesson, a warning, a memory. You don't forget where it happened, or what the shape looked like when it fell, or the sound it made before the world took it. You store it. Later, when you pass the same place, you fly a little higher. Scan the air twice instead of once. Avoid the branch overhead that looks too exposed. You don't know the name of the crow who died, but you remember the shape of their fall. This is how crows learn, not through words, but through silence. You've seen squirrels pass by the body, sniff, blink, move on. You've seen pigeons peck near it, indifferent, but crows stop, always. Even after the body is gone, even after the feathers are swept away, even after weeks have passed and grass has grown over the spot, you still pause. Something stays there, something invisible, but real. And now, that place is part of your map, a quiet spot, a shadow printed in memory. Crows don't cry, but we remember, because in a life built on memory, forgetting is a kind of death too. Chapter 11. The Crow Map. You don't carry a map, you are the map. Your brain stores places like fingerprints, not as drawings, but as smells, sounds, consequences. That alley where the bin lid always tips open, that's marked. The vent on the building that blows warm air in winter, also marked. That house where a man once pointed something long and loud toward your nest, burned into your memory. You remember places by what they gave you or what they took. Your vision sees more than colour and shape. It sees history. That tree, safe last spring, unsafe now the hawk nests there. That patch of sidewalk, you saw a crow bleed there. You've never landed on it again. Your brain doesn't forget, not after one day, not after 1 year. You remember who feeds, who poisons, which windows reflect sky and which ones don't. Your siblings know too, but they learned it from you. Crows don't use ink. We use legacy. Knowledge is passed through behaviour, through watching, through following. That's why the juvenile follows you now, mimicking your glide, mirroring your landing. They don't know why the rooftop ledge is better than the open fence. Not yet. But they will, because you show them not by explaining, but by doing. Your map grows every day. That food truck that parks on Fridays? It leaves crumbs behind, and humans who drop more. That playground empties at noon. Children leave half-eaten sandwiches. That cat under the yellow car? It killed a squirrel last week. you won't go near it. Every flap of your wings redraws the world, updates the routes, refines the shortcuts. And the danger zones? They're never erased, because forgetting gets you killed. You fly past a field. A dead crow lies beneath the power lines. No blood, no predator, just stillness. You look once, then mark the wire. You don't need to understand electricity. You only need to remember what happened there. This is the crow mind, not just clever, but cartographic. You don't live in the moment. You live in context. And that context is how you survive winter, how you raise your young, how you stay alive in a world built for someone else. You're not just flying. You're navigating the memory of everything you've seen and everything your kind has witnessed before you. Chapter 12. Traps, Tests, and Trash. It looks like food. Soft, brown, left behind on a plastic plate beside a park bench. The smell is right bread, grease, maybe peanut butter. Your stomach says yes, but you don't move. Not yet. Because something's off. The air here feels too still. The placement too perfect. No ants, no flies, no other birds, and you've seen this shape before. A simple meal left out, always in the same spot, never picked apart, then gone by morning, not eaten, removed. The humans sometimes do this. Leave food that isn't food. Bait laced with poison. Tested on the creatures who can't say no. You've watched a pigeon eat something similar. It took 10 steps, then collapsed. The crows circled for hours. Not one of them touched the body. You step forward once, not to eat, to test. You toss a small twig onto the plate. It shifts. Nothing happens. You wait. Still, nothing. You fly away. Someone else can take the risk, or the wind, or time, because you don't eat what you don't understand. Not anymore. That's the trap of the modern world. Not teeth, not talons, but trust. Trash is everywhere, but not all of it is edible. Shiny foil that smells like meat, but slices your beak. Plastic rings that smell like fish, but strangle your siblings. Bags that flutter like wings, but suffocate without warning. So you learn, and relearn, and share. Crows gather not just for food, but for intel. You watch another crow peck at a wrapper near a school gate. You see them spit it out, shake their head. You note it, avoid it. You fly to a bin that always has leftovers. Old rice, chicken bones, burger crusts. Familiar, tested. Reliable trash is a gold mine, but even gold can cut. You find a crisp packet with something inside. You can see it through the clear plastic window. It smells safe, but the opening is narrow. You tilt your head. You've heard of crows getting their heads stuck in these. Panicking, falling, dying. You press one foot on the bag. Rip gently with your beak. Create a wider opening. Then eat. Because food is never just food. It's a puzzle, a trap, a challenge. Every day in the city is a test. And every day you pass is another day you learn what not to trust. Chapter 13. Your family, your flock. You are not alone. Not anymore. Not really. You see them when the sky dims. Dark shapes on power lines, on rooftops, fences, trees. A quiet gathering of shadows. They are not strangers. Not quite family either, but something deeper than both. They know what you know, and you know how to move among them. You speak in short bursts, sharp calls, low rattles, cracks and croaks and clicks. The calls aren't random. They mean things. I'm here. That's mine. Don't trust that. Follow me. Your voice changes depending on who hears it. Your rhythm shifts when you're speaking to young ones. You mimic sounds you've heard before. The bark of a dog, the beep of a truck, the rustle of a snack bag. Not for fun, for control. Language, in your world, is a tool, not for beauty, but for boundaries, The flock forms and reforms. At dawn, it scatters. At dusk, it tightens. Like a breath being held and released again. Some are blood, parents, siblings, offspring. Some are neighbours known by territory, tone, history. You know who they are by how they move, their landings, their wing beats, their timing. Your family shares food when it matters. Not always, not freely, but enough. A fledgling cries not just from hunger, but from location. Lost, grounded, alone. You find them, not to rescue, but to remind them how to climb. Crows don't teach with patience. They teach with presence. You circle, you call, you show. They follow. Over time, the group becomes more than just feathers and flight. It becomes a system, a shifting web of knowledge, caution, observation. The youngest crows learn to fly by watching you, learn to cache food by copying you, learn to distrust wires, windows, wind. The oldest crows barely move, but their silence is weighted. When they shift, the others notice. One call from an elder, and the whole flock adjusts course. No questions, no delay. This isn't hierarchy. This is memory, respected. You groom each other, pick mites from necks, tug loose feathers, not affection. Maintenance. Each contact reminds the other. You matter to this system. You are known here. In the trees above the road, 10 of you sit. No noise, no flapping, just breath, just presence. Below, the world forgets you exist. But in the sky, you are never truly alone. Chapter 14. Autumn shifts. The light changes first. Longer shadows, shorter days. The sun feels lower, more distant, even when it's shining. And the air, sharper, colder at dawn, carrying the scent of dry leaves, wet bark, and the slow decay of everything green. This is the season where everything moves a little faster, because everything is about to slow down. Autumn. The trees change colour not for beauty, but for letting go. The insects grow sluggish. The worms dig deeper. The days of easy food are ending. You begin to plan. You fly longer distances now. Search further, not for what's easy, but for what will last. A crust of bread behind a dumpster? Not enough. A pocket of discarded peanuts beneath a bench? That you remember. You take one. Fly to a quiet patch of grass. Press it into the dirt. Cover it with leaves. Walk away. You don't eat it. Not yet. This is caching. You do it again and again and again. Bury one behind the school. Another near the train station. Another in the hollow of a tree where the squirrels haven't looked. Every location is stored in your brain, not just where it is, but how the light fell on it that day, what the ground smelled like, which branch leaned nearby. You remember in layers, because when winter comes, you'll need each of those memories. Not all your caches will survive. Some will rot, some will be stolen, some you'll simply forget, but enough will remain. You watch a younger crow try to cache a piece of bread on open pavement. Too exposed, too obvious. You don't correct them, but you notice. They'll learn if they live through the season. The flock grows more focused, less playful, more strategic. The weak don't keep up. Your wings are stronger now. You glide longer. You waste less energy. You sleep with one eye half open. The cold creeps in through your feathers, but you've learned how to huddle. Close. Silent. Shared heat. You move as part of something larger, but your mind stays independent. The sky is clearer now. No bugs. Few songs. Only the sound of wind, the rustle of dry leaves, and the thin call of another crow in the distance, reminding you they're still out there, still caching, still preparing, still surviving, like you. Chapter 15. Winter doesn't like you. Winter doesn't attack. It removes colour, warmth, sound, Even your reflection in the ice is dull now. You wake stiff, wings tight against your body, legs tucked, neck curled low to your chest. Every part of you locked in for heat. The cold is not dramatic. It is constant. The air bites without bleeding. The wind passes through your feathers, searching for gaps. The food is gone. Not all of it, but most. Bugs? Disappeared. Grass? Dead. Worms? Too deep. What's left is what you buried, and even that is a gamble. You return to your caches with hope and calculation. A half-buried crust in the grass still there. A peanut behind the brick wall, stolen. You don't get angry. There's no time for anger. Just forward. Each flight costs energy now. Each flap burns more than it earns. You fly shorter distances, rest more often, spend longer watching before acting. Efficiency is survival. Your claws sting when you grip cold metal. You hop in place to keep circulation moving. You land near a trash bin, frozen shut, the scent of food locked inside. Useless. You check the ground instead. A smear of ketchup. A piece of old bun, frozen, hard. Still edible. You eat what you can. Fly away before the gulls arrive. The snow changes your world. It hides everything. Flattens scent. Covers landmarks. You rely on memory now. Not what things look like, but what they felt like. That tree with the twisted root. That rooftop with the broken shingle. That vent that blows warm air between midnight and sunrise. Your map is no longer visual. It is internal, and it is all that keeps you fed. You see another crow, older, perched alone. One wing hangs strangely. It doesn't move when you pass. You don't stop. You can't afford to. Winter doesn't like crows. It doesn't hate you either. It simply doesn't care. And in this season, not caring is the most dangerous thing of all. Chapter 16. What died becomes a gift. You don't celebrate death, but you don't run from it either. Death, to you, is not an ending. It's not a mystery. It's not sacred. It's useful. You find it by smell first. Sweet, thick, heavy with warmth, even when the air is cold. You follow the current, low to the ground, gliding just above snowdrifts and tire tracks, weaving between trees and wires, past fences, over a ditch. Then you see it, a body, still, crusted with frost around the lips and eyes. A squirrel, one leg twisted, eyes open but dim. No blood, maybe it froze, maybe it fell. It doesn't matter. You land near it, not too close. You wait, because where there's death, there might still be life. You scan the branches, no hawks, no other scavengers. You listen, nothing. You step forward, its skin is stiff, the flesh underneath still solid. You tap it once with your beak, test the resistance. Then again, harder. The frost breaks. A small crack opens. You begin to feed. Not greedily, not wastefully. You take what you need. A piece of skin, a bit of muscle. Enough for today. Then you hop back. You wait again, eyes always watching. You've learned this. So read Cerns in the part words is rave lossers. Sometimes death lies. Sometimes it breathes once more. Sometimes what looks still is only waiting to trap. But this one stays still. You mark the spot, not for mourning, for memory, because you will return, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. As the cold grows sharper, bodies become more common. You see them in gutters, in roadside ditches, under power lines, rats, squirrels, pigeons, even other crows. You never eat the crows, not because you understand death, not because you feel something human, but because something in your body tells you, this one is not for you. So you watch, you gather, you wait. Death is not an event. It's a pattern, and it always brings information. You learn what poisons look like by who eats them. You learn what traps sound like by who gets caught. You learn what not to trust. You've seen a raccoon convulse in a pool of antifreeze. You never drank the glowing liquid beside it. You watched a gull rip open a fast food bag, only to find mouldy meat that made it stumble hours later. You never touched that bag again. Death teaches you, and you listen. Even the humans teach death carelessly. You see the signs, the slug pellets, the sticky glue traps, the poisoned bins. They don't mean to speak your language, but they do. You learn to read it. And the bodies? They confirm what you already suspected. Winter thins the herd. It does it slowly, silently, but not randomly. It removes the distracted, the careless, the slow. You are none of those. So, you pick at the edge of frozen meat. You tear it free. You fly away. And as you rise, you look down once more. Not in sadness. Not in honor. Just in acknowledgement. What died became your gift. And tomorrow, you will return to claim the rest. Chapter 17. You see yourself. You land on a metal railing. It's colder than expected. You lift one foot, then the other. Flex your claws. Shift your balance. It's morning. The sky is clear. The humans haven't arrived yet. You hop along the edge, slow and watchful. Then something flickers beside you. You freeze. Movement. You tilt your head, not toward the source, but slightly off, just enough to see it. It moved when you moved. It's there again. Another crow, black, same shape, same size. It doesn't blink, doesn't call, but when you shift to the left, it shifts too. When you lower your head, it does the same. You leap backward, still there. You call out, a short, sharp sound. No answer. You circle around, hop to the side, glide down to a bench across the pavement. It doesn't follow. It stays exactly where it was. So you return, curious now. This time, you approach slowly. The surface is glass, or something like it. It reflects light. Your beak, your feathers, your eye. You blink. So does it. You try again. Move your beak. Tilt your neck. Perfect mimicry. No scent. No sound. No heartbeat. You peck once. Softly. It taps back. Not an echo. A reflection. This is not another bird. It is you. You feel something shift behind your eye. A quiet tension. Like solving a puzzle with no name. You know other crows. You know their calls. Their weight. Their scent. This one has none of those. But it knows your movements. It is your movements. You walk away again. Fly to a wire. Look back. The bird is gone. Of course it is. Because it only lives when you do. The next day, it returns. Or rather, you find another surface. Car window. Shop glass. Frozen puddle. There it is. Watching. Mimicking. Silent. Some animals see the world as only outside. You begin to sense the inside. Not as emotion. Not as thought. But as recognition. That is me. You test it more. Try gestures you've never done. Wing stretch. Head bob. Blink. Scratch. It keeps up. You bring a stick. Drop it. Pick it up. The reflection holds nothing. Only mimics the motion. This is not prey. Not a threat. Not food. But it matters. Because now you know. You have a shape. You have a pattern. And when you move, the world responds in a way only it does for you. You won't speak of it. Not to your kin. Not in calls. But something changed. A thread pulled tight in the quiet of your mind. You are not just something that flies. You are something that watches itself fly. And few creatures ever learn that. Chapter 18. You solve what others can't. Most animals survive by doing what they've always done. You survive by doing what no one's ever done. You land on a post beside a fence. Below it, a closed bin. Inside, the scent of something worth flying for. You don't rush. Instead, you perch and wait. A squirrel tries first. Jumps, scratches at the edge, fails. It leaves. A pigeon arrives, paces, pecks once, moves on. You stay still. Because this isn't a game of speed. It's a test, and you never take a test without watching it first. Your eyes track the lid. You see the small groove near the hinge, the way it opens toward the back. You hop down, once, land softly. You press your claws against the side, grip it, lean your weight. Nothing. So you fly up again, circle once, then try another approach. This time, you place one claw under the lip, just a sliver. Hold tight. Then use your beak to wedge it wider. You feel the give, the pressure change. The bin opens just slightly. Enough. You lean down, pull out a crust. You win. But this was never about food. It was about the process. You don't always get it right the first time, but you always learn. And once you learn, you remember. You've pulled string to get meat from wires, dropped stones into narrow water jars to raise the level, used tools you didn't create but repurposed. You've opened zippers on backpacks, untied knots, pried apart shells with glass, and none of it was taught. No one demonstrated it. No one rehearsed. You saw. You thought. You tried. Crows don't rely on repetition. They rely on insight. Even young ones learn fast. You once watched a juvenile struggle to crack a nut. They dropped it once. It bounced. They dropped it again from higher. Still no break. Then they flew to the street, waited for a car, dropped it under the tire. Crack. You didn't teach them that. They discovered it. And now, they do it every day. You pass a group of gulls, circling a sealed bag. They flap, scream, peck. You walk past, grab the edge, twist the plastic, open the seam. They rush in. You take what you want first, because this is your win. The others follow. You know more than just how to get food. You know how things work. And once you know, you don't unknow. There is no ceremony, no recognition, no applause. Just another quiet moment of cleverness, tucked into your day like a feather behind your wing. This is what separates you. Not just wings, not just calls, not just black feathers and city dust, but a mind that sees not just the world, but how to move through it better than the day before. And in the animal kingdom that makes you dangerous. Chapter 19. Voice is weapon. You don't sing. Your voice doesn't rise with the dawn like the thrush, or soften like the dove. It doesn't flutter. It cuts. Sharp, hard, unapologetic. A single call can shatter the silence of an entire park. One sound, and every creature within hearing distance lifts its head. Not because your voice is beautiful, because it means something. You don't waste breath. You speak when it matters. 1 call, I see you. 3, danger coming. 5 short ones in a row, rising in pitch. Everyone move now. Your voice is code not for poetry, but for survival. When you land near food, you call. Not for others, for your family. They know your tone. They know your rhythm. Crows don't gather randomly. They gather because someone speaks. And sometimes, when silence falls, it speaks louder than anything else. You watch a younger crow get too close to a dog bowl. The dog watches too. You give one dry, barked warning. The juvenile stops, waits, lives. No one thanks you. They don't have to. You don't speak for gratitude. You speak to shape the air. Your voice is not limited to your own sounds. You mimic. You've learned the slow grind of a trash can wheel, the beep of a reversing truck, the bark of a small dog, even the laughter of a child, not perfectly, but close enough to unsettle. You mimic, not to entertain. You mimic to control. A dog growl in the wrong place. makes a cat run. The screech of brakes can clear a sidewalk. The beep of a crosswalk can send others running while you remain feeding in peace. Imitation is not flattery. It's a tactic. You even mimic other crows. A rival call, a mate's voice, a family member's warning. You've used it to lead others away from food. You've used it to cause hesitation. You've used it to survive. Each crow has its own voice print, like a signature, like scent, but yours is adaptable. You can lie with your sound. You can mask your presence, pretend to be younger, pretend to be farther, pretend to be someone else. Not every crow does this. Not every crow needs to. But you've watched, you've listened, and you've learned. In a world full of eyes, you rule with ears. At night, your voice changes again. Quieter, lower, you make soft clicks, throat rattles, gurgles. Only family members understand. Not alarm, not threat. Just here. I'm here. Still alive. Still with you. No creature watches crows without hearing them first. And no creature hears a crow without wondering what it knows. Because you never speak for the sake of sound. You speak to shift the balance of power. To move the flock. To summon. To scatter. To shape silence. And on the days you choose to say nothing at all, that silence is your loudest weapon. Chapter 20. Humans feed, then forget. You've studied them longer than they realize. The humans. Tall, loud, forgetful animals that live in boxes and carry food without guarding it. They walk with wires in their ears, tap glowing rectangles with their thumbs. They drop things constantly, and that is their gift. They don't mean to feed you, they just do. Half-eaten sandwiches on benches, paper bags left open, bits of fruit, crusts, candy, chips. Sometimes it's generous. A child kneels and offers breadcrumbs. An old woman places cooked rice on a tray near the fence. Other times, it's accidental. A burger wrapper lifted by the wind, a hot dog dropped mid-stride, a grocery bag left too close to a window ledge. You don't care if they mean it. Intentions don't feed you. Actions do. You've learned their patterns. Morning runners, afternoon park walkers, evening picnics. You time your flights accordingly. You know which bins fill up by noon, which lunch spots yield leftovers, which outdoor cafes attract the sloppiest eaters. But humans don't notice you. Not really. They glance, smile sometimes, shiver other times, then forget. Even when they feed you directly, they walk away as if the exchange meant nothing, and maybe to them, it didn't. But to you, every scrap matters. Every crust is one less cold night spent with an empty belly. You've watched them leave behind more food in one day than most animals will see in a week. Wasteful, but predictable. That's what makes them useful. Still, not safe. Because, just as easily as they feed you, they destroy what feeds you. They poison bins, lay traps, build noise machines to scare you from rooftops. They string wire across ledges. They hang plastic owls like warnings. But you learn. You memorize the faces of the ones who swat. You mark the yards with the spinning CDs and flashing eyes. You teach the young to avoid the gardens with too much shine and no movement. You take what you can and leave what feels wrong. One day, a boy throws you a French fry. You land. Eat. He claps. He's amused. You leave before he decides to test how far he can throw something harder. The next day, he's gone. But you remember his face. Because humans forget crows. But crows never forget humans. You've seen them marvel at your cleverness, then still call you a pest. You've watched them name you, then scare you away the next week. It's not personal, but it is inconsistent. So you treat them like the weather. Useful, unpredictable, never trusted. They build the world you live in, but not for you. You simply learned how to live inside it better than most. And when they forget what they gave you, what they dropped, what they fed, you don't remind them. You just circle once, wait until their back is turned, and take what you need. Then vanish. Because while they forget, you never do. Chapter 21. You hold a grudge. You remember, even if the wind was loud, even if it happened quickly, even if no one else was watching, you remember the face. He wore a grey coat. His eyes were small. His walk was uneven, like one leg didn't trust the other. But it was his hand that mattered. The motion, the reach, the sudden burst of movement. Your sibling didn't fly fast enough. 1 second, perched. The next, struck. Feathers scattered. Sound gone. You watched from the wire. You screamed. He looked up. He saw you. And then he turned and walked away. You never saw that sibling again, but you never forgot his face. The next day, you flew above the same path. He walked again, same coat, same gait, same careless ease. You called, a sharp, angry caw. Another crow answered, not in confusion, but in agreement. By the third day, more had joined. 5, 7, you followed him, not to hurt, not yet, just to remind. Crows don't forgive. They mark. He started to notice. He looked up more often, hurried his steps, changed his route. But it was too late. You remembered, and then others remembered too. Because your kind doesn't just store memories, you share them, not with stories, with warning calls, with flight formations, with repeated presence. You taught the young ones, that face, that smell, that coat. You followed him for seasons. Sometimes you dive-bombed, claws open, not to maim, to remind. He waved his arms, yelled, panicked. You didn't stop. Eventually, he did. He moved. Or maybe he stopped walking that route. Either way, he vanished from your air. You returned to quiet, but not to forgetting. Years later, you saw a face like his. Not the same man, you knew that instantly, but maybe his son, or someone who walked the same way, held the same posture, carried the same scent. You watched closely, gave him space, gave him time. He passed without incident. You let him go, because grudge isn't rage. It's memory that refuses to soften. And crows are made of memory. There are humans who have tested this, worn masks, thrown stones, set traps. Years later, they returned. New clothes, a different season. The crows attacked, not randomly, not blindly, deliberately, because faces don't fade, not in your mind. You carry them for years, sometimes a lifetime. And when you teach your young, you don't just teach how to fly, you teach who to avoid, which faces mean danger, which movements precede harm, which hands never come empty. It's not revenge, it's survival through continuity. Crows don't forget, crows don't move on, and you remember everything. Chapter 22. You know stillness. You don't always move. There are hours-long, cold, golden hours, where your wings stay folded, your claws stay curled, and your breath slows to a whisper. You perch, not high, not low, just enough. A fence, a wire, a crooked branch. Whatever holds your weight gently, without noise. The sun is low, the sky leans orange. The wind, if there is any, barely touches your feathers. You don't call. You don't listen for anything in particular. You just exist. And in that stillness, you become invisible, not by colour, not by camouflage, but by presence. You're so still, the air forgets you're there. A leaf drifts past your beak. You don't flinch. A child walks below. You don't blink. You watch, but not like a predator. You observe, like something ancient looking through time. Stillness is not inaction. It is the space between decisions. The moment before the leap. The hour after feeding. The day when flying means spending more energy than it returns. You have nothing to prove. Your body rests without sleeping. Your eyes open, but soft. Your breath slow, but steady. Around you, the world continues. Dogs bark. Cars pass. Humans argue. None of it touches you. Not here. Not now. Another crow lands beside you. You don't move. Neither do they. You sit together side by side, saying nothing. Just wait. Just warmth. Just wind and feather and moment. Stillness is where learning consolidates. The map of the day settles. The sounds are stored. The light patterns etched into memory. You remember that the blue bin is emptied earlier now, that the food truck parked 2 spaces farther than usual, that the hawk circled twice, but didn't dive. All this, while unmoving, because stillness isn't sleep, it's calculation with no movement, and it is yours. Few creatures know how to do this, to wait without tension, to be still without shutting off, to pause without losing awareness. The branch under you sways gently. You let it. A soft click comes from your throat, not a call, just a confirmation. I'm here, still breathing, still watching. The sky begins to dim. The city lights twitch on, one by one. The air cools. You finally shift. Just a small adjustment, a turn of the foot, a lift of the shoulder. Then you rise into the air, not fast, not far, just into the next part of the day. Stillness ends when it needs to, not before, because in your world, stillness isn't laziness. It's strategy. It's presence. It's a pause between answers. You move again, but part of you stays quiet, sharp, always watching. Chapter 23. You understand tools. Most animals use their body. You use the world. You don't just eat with your beak. You use your beak like a hand. You choose. You shape. You manipulate. It began with a stick. You found it near the edge of a wire fence. Thin, straight, just the right bend. You picked it up, not to play, not to carry, but to do something with it. There was meat stuck deep in a crevice, wedged between bark. Your beak couldn't reach. So you took the stick, you angled it, pushed it in, twisted, the meat moved. You didn't celebrate. You just did it again, but better, until the piece came loose. You fed, then flew away. A small act, but monumental. Because it wasn't instinct, it was intervention. You used one object to change another. You turned stick into tool, empty space into reward. And this would not be the last time. You've bent wires. You've shaped twigs. You've snapped plastic strips from packaging and used them to pry lids. You've watched a crow drop pebbles into a tall glass to raise the water level. You understood the weight, the math, the cause and effect. You don't just use tools. You understand them. Even among your own kind, not every crow reaches this point. But you did. You tested. You failed. You refined. You tried again. A crow in one part of the world learns to sharpen a stick to fish out grubs. A crow in another city learns to push buttons on a dispenser left in a lab. Different continents, different materials, same pattern. See, plan, solve. You once noticed a string hanging from a branch and a small treat tied at the bottom. It was a test. You landed, pulled the string upward with your beak, stepped on the loop, pulled again, stepped again. Bit by bit, you raised the treat to you. Never jumping, never rushing. Just mechanical thinking, executed with feathers. You've learned that the world is not fixed, that objects can serve you, that limits are often just puzzles. You use cars to crack nuts. You use glass to tear meat. You use water to soften dry food. Humans see tools as evidence of humanity. But crows use tools in silence. No crowds, no teaching, no labs. Just the open air, the hard ground, the small hunger, the curious mind. You are not building cities. You are not carving statues. But you are rewriting what it means to interact with the world. Not just as a bird, not just as a survivor, but as a problem solver. That stick you found, it changed more than just your meal. It changed your place in the world. Chapter 24. You dream of the dead. It begins with silence. Then, a call. Low, flat, final. A crow has fallen. Not by age, not in sleep, but by violence. A car, a hawk, a hand. You weren't there to see it, but the air tells you. You arrive. Others too. Not hurried, not panicked. You land on the edge of a roof, then drop down to the fence. Then, finally, the ground. There it is. The body, still. Wings half open. One eye dim. Feet clenched. You don't touch it. No one does. You circle, one by one, dozens of crows. Black coats in the wind. Watching. Not moving. You don't cry. You don't wail. But your voice changes. A soft coo. A click. Something between song and warning. What is this moment? Not grief, perhaps, but study. You remember the shape of the road, the scent in the air, the colour of the car, the outline of the wires above. You gather facts in feathers. You file information through presence. Some humans call it a crow funeral, but it is not for the one who died. It is for those still living. You learn from death. You carry it. You have returned to this very place before. Not often, but sometimes, when the wind smells the same, when the sun sits low in the same corner of the sky, you fly over that patch of ground. You tilt your head. You remember, not always with thought, sometimes with feeling, a tension in your wings, a pause before landing, a call cut short. The dead do not vanish. They echo. Once, a crow you knew vanished in the trees, never returned. The next day, you flew to where you last saw her. You landed. Nothing, but another crow was there. They looked too. They waited. Neither of you spoke. The silence was enough. Do you dream? Maybe not in pictures, but in pulses. In the way your claws flex when you sleep. In the way your throat clicks softly with no sound. In the way you turn your head in sleep, as if seeing something that isn't there. You remember more than food, more than danger. You remember absence. And sometimes you respond. You've been seen placing small sticks near the bodies of the fallen. You've gathered, not just to feed, but to witness. No other bird does this the way you do. Because death to a crow isn't just an end. It's a signal. It tells you where not to land, what not to trust, who not to follow. But it also reminds you of something else. That even the clever fall, even the watchful make mistakes. Even the ones who taught you how to fly eventually stop flying. You don't cry, but you don't forget. And maybe when the sky darkens and the wind curls just right, you return to those places in your sleep, not with sadness, but with memory, because to be a crow is to carry the dead forward. Chapter 25. The sky belongs to you. You don't fly to escape. You fly because the ground can no longer contain you. The moment begins before the leap. A shift of muscle, a breath held in the hollow of your chest, wings folding tighter for the last time, before they unfold into the sky's question. And then you lift, not with elegance, not with ease, but with power, because flight, for you, is not a gift. It is earned every time. Your wings slice the air, not like a hawk's, not like a dove's. You don't glide to impress. You carve. Your shadow flashes across roofs, fields, alleyways. No one sees it for long, but you do. You look down. The world below is loud, crowded, confused. But from here, it softens. You see the child feeding pigeons near the fountain. The dog barking at its leash in a yard of plastic chairs. The man in the window holding a mug he never sips from. Everything looks smaller, but you don't feel above it. You feel free from it. Here, the rules shift. Down there, you hide, you plan, you adapt. Up here, you move on your own terms. The air doesn't care how clever you are. It only asks, can you stay? And you can. You navigate thermals, ride the invisible spirals, shift with the wind's moods, like a dancer with no audience. You don't flap constantly. You rise, pause, rise again, watching, listening, not for threats, not for food, just to be aware, to exist in a space most creatures never reach. You pass over the trees where you learn to fly. You remember the branch that first held your trembling weight. It's still there, but you no longer need it. You dip your wings slightly, an old crow's gesture, not a goodbye, just acknowledgement. Clouds roll beneath you. City noise fades behind you. The world narrows into soundless air, and for a moment, there is nothing but sky. No plan, no memory, no hunger, no enemy, just your heart, your wings, the soft hiss of wind through feather. This is not escape. This is your birthright. You were not meant to be locked in trees or chased from bins. You were meant to fly, to claim a space between what crawls and what soars. And you do. You don't own the earth. You don't need to, because the sky, it belongs to you. It always did. And as the day closes, as the stars begin to blink into view one by one, you slow your flight. You lower. You land. You rest. But you know, the moment you choose to rise again, you won't need permission, because you are the dark between light, the shape behind the sound, the story that never needed to be told, to be remembered. You are the crow, and the sky remembers you. And that's the end of tonight's journey. Your quiet, grounded life as a crow, from cold rooftops to warm wind currents, from searching for scraps to studying faces. You've lived it all through your own sharp eyes and sharper instincts. If you made it this far, you probably know a lot more about crows than you ever expected to, and you probably didn't realize how much of your time in the sky you'd spend watching humans drop things. If you enjoyed this kind of slow, real-life experience, told not like a story, but like it actually happens, there's more where that came from. I've got plenty of animal lives to show you. Maybe next time, you'll be something unexpected. A fox on a suburban fence, a jellyfish with no brain but perfect memory, or even a wasp living on instinct and strategy alone. Whatever comes next, you'll be there, living it from the inside out. So if this kind of quiet video helps you sleep, or if you just like learning something new in a slow, immersive way, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below. Tell me where you're listening from, and let me know what animal you'd like to live as next. I'll be reading them. Until then, close your eyes, and sleep easy.